Good evening. Welcome to Marshall Matt, episode 26. And tonight we'll be having Darcy Hardy on. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. If you got questions, please put them on the right hand side in the comment section. I will get to them. If I don't get to them right away, it's will probably because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation in there. But by all means, still get to them. Still put them there, and I will absolutely get to them. Without further ado, here he is, the Jungle Man.
Hey, Dean Franco, glad to be here, my friend.
How are you? So, what is new in the land of the island and the world of Darcy?
Oh, well, we're just gearing up right now for a camp that's going to be in the interior of BC. Leaving the next couple days, gone for a week of the camp and then a bit of hunting after and a little foraging after. It's been pretty exciting. Just kind of getting everybody geared up for it as far as the amount of islanders that are leaving the next couple days for it.
Wow, your voice actually is coming in perfect now. Um, so when you okay, so this, so what does it entail? Like, I guess for folks maybe listening, we're tied into the martial arts and all that, but as far as the preparation, like, I mean, how long you going for? Um,
Well, it won't be anything super glamorous, but we're just making sure we have enough of the right temperature dependent clothing, as far as as well as sleep gear. Being there's gonna be some minus temperatures at night and early in the morning when we first get up. So I'll make sure I've got all that kind of stuff dealt with. Nice wool blankets. Wool is prime for us, being that it doesn't matter how wet it gets, it still holds a lot of its heat reflecting properties. So we'll make sure we got lots of wool blankets. Bring some skins to sleep on. We got some bear skin and some sheep skin to throw down. That'll as well hold a lot of our heat and reflect it back towards us. And yeah, making sure we've got enough of the right kind of ammunition for the things that we want to hunt. Making sure we have tags for as well for the animals that we want to bring back. And yeah, as far as the classes I'm going to be teaching, it doesn't sound like I'm going to need a lot of gear outside of what I usually bring with me. So there's going to be some animal processing as well as some martial arts studies. So I'll make sure to bring some gloves and masks and sticks and knives. That's yeah, without saying, that's just kind of goes with me any camp I go to.
So is it fair to say, like, when you go, is there multiple objectives? I mean, one, you're going to try to get some hunting in. Two, you're going to do some instructional, and three, you're going to get some training in. Is that fair?
Yeah, if I can stack it. However, depending on where we're going, we usually like to get a bit of everything. Um, my wife and I, it's not often that we go anywhere without doing some foraging as well. So if we're going anywhere outside of our usual bioregion, there's more than likely a number of different plants, trees, mushrooms, and depending on the season, fruits and nuts that we don't have in our particular bioregion. So we'll make sure that we always stock up. So bringing things like some sort of cooler packed with ice, depending if we get some creatures or possibly some stuff from the ocean if we were going on an ocean trip. This particular trip, we're looking at possibly white-tailed deer, turkeys, and a number of other game creatures like that. So definitely a couple coolers, ice ready to go. But we may see a lot of mushrooms, so we're going to want to make sure we bring lots of bags and baskets for that kind of stuff as well. And then have some sort of plan on how we're going to preserve it while we're out in the field, and then bring it back home.
That's wow, wow, wow. So you're, I mean, like, so when you hunt, I mean, obviously you're like skinning there, quartering, whatever I guess need be there.
Yeah, I mean, it always makes it a lot easier just to field dress it right then and there. Find a spot, dig a hole, not too deep, not too shallow. We definitely want the small organisms just under the topsoil to get at it, opposed to throwing it down into the clay where it could sit there for years before it actually gets utilized by the microbiome of the forest. So in a way, it's like feeding back into the ecosystem in which we're taking from. And then as far as skinning and quartering, it depends on where we're going to and what's the next part of the plan. If we can, Yeah, keep it covered with the skin until we get it to the spot in which we're going to butcher. But um, with that said, it's always easier to pull a skin off while the creature's still warm, opposed to waiting for it to be cold and then taking it off.
Well, so obviously experience there. So when you're out there, like, what do you? I mean, like, far as the martial arts, like, what are you generally teaching these folks?
Mostly just how to kill people.
That's nice, Darcy.
Oh, Renee's not here yet. I need to say something ridiculous.
Well, on that note, so, I just want everybody to know that Darcy is in no shape, way, or form affiliated with anything to do with Dean Franco. Despite what the post might say.
Yeah, don't look at the T-shirt, Western Piper Method. I just need.
I'm not sure what that is, so I cannot comment any further on that. So, all right. So, what do you? Yeah, what are you teaching them? I mean, are these people that you see regularly, or it might be a totally different group, or
It's usually a mix. Yeah, it's usually a mix of people. So like we have a big camp that we go to each week, or sorry, every year in the summer. It's about a week long. It's called Firemaker. It's up here on Vancouver Island. This was year 26, I believe. So it's been going on for quite a while. And this is what they call like a primitive skills or earth skills camp. So you've got workshops throughout the week, usually 2 blocks a day, in which you can choose one of 15 different instructors and workshops per block. So you can actually learn quite a bit in the time you're there, as well as we'll have things like a talent show, which is a lot of fun. So people get 3 minutes to do whatever they want in front of all of us, as well as we've got a trade blanket. So people bring stuff that they've been working on making, and then trade, or if there's
that's
nothing worth trading for cash. And then there's a giveaway, which is a pretty cool experience, which we put an item onto a blanket into a like we create a big circle of blankets and we put an item on it that we hold dear to ourselves, like something that we wouldn't necessarily like throw out, but something we'd like to see passed on to somebody else. And in that process, after a couple songs, we go back in the circle and we take something that sings out to us. Which, yeah, it's amazing to see what people will make or hold on to, then give away at these gatherings. So there is some of the same people you'll see at a number of the gatherings. We have two smaller ones throughout the year as well. And then this one is kind of a medium-sized gathering of about 90 people or so. And we'll see, yeah, I imagine we'll see probably a huge chunk of people we're used to seeing at other gatherings. Um, so, to the question, when I teach martial arts at these gatherings, it's really dependent on who's there
mm,
and where they're at in their abilities, experience, as well as mental capacity. So, I wouldn't necessarily take something like Medusa and teach it to people who aren't even used to any of that stuff. Just the mindset
the
of it.
mindset alone and what you're telling about. Yeah, 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 yeah,
And I've had people every once in a while. It's rare, but I've had people come to me mid workshop or even just in the first 15 or 20 minutes and look and say, there's a lot of violence going on in this workshop. And it always puts me in a strange spot on how I'm supposed to answer because I'm very clear on what the workshop itself may detail and that it is going to be primarily fixated on violence, different levels of it, and sometimes people are just, I guess, thinking about more improv dance or something. So it can be a bit tricky for their minds, but
yeah. They don't know. Yeah, and maybe they're overwhelmed or didn't think that sometimes you have to take things to this point, and maybe, and yeah, it's easy for us to say like, well, what do you mean you don't understand? Like I said in the beginning, but they never been to, you know what I mean? It could be a lie, you know what I mean? So it's, yeah. I mean, it's easy to say here, well, that's ridiculous. But if you think about in their shoes, I mean,
And also, I mean, what kind of people are going to go to live in the woods for a week and get dirty, skin animals, smash rocks together, make knives and things like that? So
Mm,
it can be like even that much more outside of their kind of understanding their life perspective, why you may want to be able to facilitate a violent situation for your safety or your family's safety. Uh,
yeah.
but again, it depends on the group. It totally depends on the people I see show up. Sometimes we can just do push hands, which is, as you know, like an application of Tai Chi. And my personal flavor of push hands is very dynamic. I mix in a bit of everything, so I could take something like our Hubud drill and make it a little bit more dynamic through the lens of Tai Chi, in which we're creating a lot more pressure. We're utilizing certain elements. Sorry, the wind just got a hold of my cam there. Um, yeah, we'll use certain types of elements like knife draws and looking for weapon retention games within the push hands itself, which for somebody that has no martial experience, it just gets them into developing that interior martial world in which they would think about where not only like the proprioception of where everything is on their body, like for instance, if I give them a bandana that they have to protect against all odds, um, or it is a wooden knife that they've created themselves, they still have to get an idea of like, okay, well, is this side of my hip closer to my attacker or is it farther away? And for someone who's never studied anything like that, it's a great way to start to develop that body awareness as well as that tactile sensitivity. So if they're connected to this other person, they can start to feel when that person's disengaging their energy to reach for
Mm.
the knife or whatever it is the game that they're playing.
No, no, no. That's. I think it's fascinating that you're thinking about good and fascinating that you're thinking. That you're taking into consideration. There could be you got different walks of life there, and but yet anybody can benefit from body awareness, tactile sensitivity, and all that. I mean, even the most experienced can still benefit from that. Whether it's a different perspective or whatever. So now, assuming like you're all camping out, right? I mean, this is all like you're all kind of staying together. You know what I mean? Tents here and there and what have you, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, they're like, so like at Firemaker, it's on a huge chunk of land. I think it's around 200 acres. It's kind of on the outskirts of a really small town, so it has even more kind of land around it as well. We've got our main kind of camp area that's tents um, with some cabins for like elderly folk or elders that we may have come out with us that aren't able to sleep on the ground for a week.
mm,
Um, Whereas it depends. Like for instance, the two smaller camps that we do a year, everybody's tenting out. This camp that we're heading out to, I think there's going to be a house available for some of the mothers with children and other people that may need that extra support.
yeah.
Um, which, yeah, it really can help a lot because it's hard to have fun if you're not comfortable at night and you're not sleeping
Oh my
well.
God, you don't get a good night's sleep, and the next day yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, man. It's super tricky. I mean, you can do it, but it's if you're
If
battling
you're
temperature
younger and you're in shape, if you're already kind of older and arthritic, that's going to be a rough.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's and these events they bring out like such a mixed crowd of people too. You have people that are really into kind of what we call wild fitness. So people who are training a lot outside, so they're used to the elements. They're eating wild foods, and they're in some ways another branch of humanity at this point. So
Mm,
there, those kinds of people are a lot more acclimated to those conditions and don't notice the hardships as much. But like you said, if regular folks get out there and it's new to them, it can be a lot. I mean, like just camping in a regular situation can be a lot, let alone one
just
with your
camping,
own,
period. I've never done it.
right?
So, when you're back to your classes, like how long is each class?
So the classes, depending on the camp, change in duration, but they're generally about 3 hours long for each block.
So you're
three
getting
three
like
to 4 hours.
breaks here and there or whatever.
It depends on your teacher. My martial arts instructor, Frank, God bless his soul, he will lose his shit if you go to drink water mid class or tie your shoelaces too many times or check your phone or any of that stuff. You better believe he's going to kick you twice as hard next round. um, I myself allow water breaks because I find that, we go over so much information and I want the student to be able to imbibe it. And taking those small moments to reflect while they're drinking water or talking to another person for a few minutes can be something that can really sink that lesson deep. And that's generally what I'm there for. But it depends. Yeah, it depends on the classes. Sometimes they're really long. So like if it was an animal processing workshop, it could go as long as 2 blocks, depending on the size or the amount of animals we have to process.
Mm.
Um, it could be a week if you're working a skin into a usable hide. It really depends. Like there's some classes that definitely take longer. We've had some master bow makers come in before and teach, and that can take quite a long time to make a bow from scratch. Um, and some people, one of the coolest things I must say is how often we have people who come right from the city who've never done anything like this in their whole lives, and they show up on the first day, and their clothes are clean, they're well taken care of, and they don't look like they want to sit because at mealtime we don't really have a lot of tables. We have a few tables, but most people sit on the ground somewhere. And so by the end of the week, those same people are sitting on the ground somewhere in the open with another group of people working on some set of skills that they've been working on all week from some class. And it could be some kind of knitting, it could be a friction fire methodology,
Mm.
it could be a carving. There is such a wide array of these skills that you'll see trained over the week and
Yeah.
then refined through the week by the people who are truly interested.
Wow, 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 wow. Renee's here. Looks like he's driving. Or
Yay!
so. Um, wow, that's huh. So, how many far back to martial art classes? How many do you teach a couple a day?
If I'm at one of these camps, I generally do one every morning before breakfast. So usually 7 to 8 or 7 to 8:30, and then later on in the day, depending if I'm teaching something else during the week, I may offer an extended, 3 hour or 4 hour class. Uh, it depends on the camp and kind of what's like wanted. Um, like what, because my skill level is quite large, so I could go from just focusing completely and primarily on the different levels of camouflage and how to utilize camouflage in a wilderness setting or an urban setting. I could go into the skills of making just about anything that you would need in a camp setting, whether it be pots, like bowls made out of logs that we burn out the centers of, boiling water with rocks, camp setups for cooking on, sleep systems, could be water purification. Like I have a large set of skills. So usually what I'll end up doing is I'll talk to my friends that are teaching at the camp, or I'll talk to the person who's coordinating it, get an idea of what skills are being shared, and then try to fill in the gaps for whatever that
Oh
is.
yeah, so you're not okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. Like you're going, like if you're, doing going to a huge seminar with different instructors, making sure that you're not kind of, doing the same thing they're doing or whatever. Um,
How
wow,
good are
that,
you at making shirts?
Not as good as I'd like to be, but I mean, I guess it depends on what we're making.
Like I see. It seems that you're always missing a shirt, so maybe that's one of those things you learn how to make.
I wore 2 shirts for you today, Renee. Look at I got one shirt underneath and one over top. Make sure my nipples are covered.
Wow. Yeah, you got your winter gear on.
Yeah, just about.
Sorry, I'm late. I was actually changing the starter on my truck on the
Oh,
road.
uh,
good work, brother.
Which let me tell you, if anybody from Jeep is listening, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you.
Yeah. Holy crap. Oh, glad you made it, bro.
Yeah. But anyways, sorry I'm late.
yeah, no worries, no worries. Do you how about weapons? Like, do you do classes on weapon making, or you can, or did
Yeah,
you?
I did a class years ago in Manila at the Manila University grounds for the Hankilan crew through Patch, Tuhon Patch. And it was a lot of fun. We focused on field expedient weapons based off of the garbage that we found on the campus. So we made tomahawks out of bits of tile, like something I found in the Philippines and Asia in general. Everywhere I've been in Asia, you can find tile everywhere. Like
You say
it's
tile?
actually, yeah, like pieces. You can
Oh,
find
okay,
big
okay, okay.
pieces of tile. Any road, it seems like I can find a pile of tile for some reason. And anyway, so I got really apt at making tomahawk and knife edges with the tile, the same way we do it here in Canada with rocks. And then used newspaper, a stick, and some kind of cordage, whether it be a piece of rope we found or some root that we dragged out, and then tied it all together to make a tomahawk. And then we also made a bola. Bola is stringing together a number of hard or heavy pieces like rocks or nuts with a piece of string or three pieces of string or five pieces of string. So you can throw and it wraps around the limbs of whatever it is, an animal or a person. We made a rock sling. We made some garbage bag clubs with rocks and debris and yeah, just braided it all up together. I think we made some shanks. But it was
Shakes.
yeah, it was a fun class. Yeah, it was about 5 hours of weapon making on the university campus.
Wow, wow. What about like, I guess obviously you can't go into extreme A through Z, but just knife making. Like, how intrinsic or how difficult would this show somebody? Like at one of your camps, for instance,
Like, sorry, say it again.
knife making. Like, if you wanted, like, if you were doing a class on knife making, is that something that's, regardless of who the audience is that something tangible to do?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean it's knife making is so scalable. You can make a shank, you can make a knife, you can make an edge out of just about anything in so many different situations. Like I've mentioned before, if you really needed to, you could just melt down some Jolly Ranchers in a microwave and
You know,
shape them into explorers.
jeez.
But like you can make it out of just about anything, and there's garbage everywhere. So if we're in an urban area, it's really easy. If
Well,
you're in the woods,
there's that dude in the Arctic that made a knife out of his own excrement.
that's horrible.
That's actually a true story. He was being held captive, and I gotta find who it was, but yeah, the dude made a knife out of he froze his excrement and made a knife out of it and used it to escape.
Oh my god, getting stabbed a big piece of shit. That's so terrible.
Ah,
Talk
yeah,
about
it's a shitty way to go, man.
talk about ingenuity. Man.
Yeah, it's bad. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I mean, if you're in the woods, I mean, you can make a knife out of a rock, out of a bone, out of a shell, out of a certain piece of wood. And there's ways of making wood really hard. Like if you have fire available, you can do something called fire hardening, and you can
Yeah.
actually make a piece of regular old wood pretty stabby.
Wow, wow.
But as far as like, something that somebody would keep, use, and enjoy, we could make bone knives out of a whole bunch of different parts of a creature real easy. Some of them easier than others. Like I put out a video a few weeks ago on making a knife out of an ulna. And I mean, those take about 15 minutes, maybe even, you could probably do it in 5 minutes. It would be ugly, but it would be usable. But you could make a real nice one in about half hour.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. And
So where are these videos, Doris? Is this on your you have an Instagram or do you have like a TikTok or something?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Good question, brother. I've got on Instagram and Facebook, I've got a lot of videos. I try to post maybe one a week or one every couple of weeks on something I'm up to or something I want to share that I'm working on. If you go farther and farther back, there's more and more videos on kind of different types of survival stuff, like stuff I should probably review and make new videos on that I haven't done in years, like making fire out of SOS pads and things like that.
Fire out of SOS pads.
Yeah, there's it's unreal, like the amount of ingenuity that people come up with in the right situation. One of my favorite instructors that I've never met, but I've been learning from for years, a fellow named John Young. He always says how the necessity is the mother of all invention, and
Mm.
we really
Can't argue
see that.
that, right?
And you see it a lot when people are put in hard situations that they come up with, whether they're criminals in prisons, where they have a limited amount of access to different materials, as well as they're highly scrutinized throughout the day with surveillance. And yeah, it's mind-boggling the kind of stuff they come up with, as well as like people just out in the woods where they don't have a store available, but they figure out ways to get through all their what I would call their five pillars of survival: their food, fire, water, shelter, and security needs.
Wow, wow. And so they can't.
Actually, in Dean's case, it's actually 6 because he has to have sweatpants.
That would
Those as well.
be, and they would have to be gray. So that would be. So Darcy, when I do
Yeah.
come out there, Darcy, would it be fair to say that you would have a pair of gray sweatpants waiting for me?
No, we'd have to make one
Yeah,
for you. But I'm
those
also
are
ready
those
to
are
make
really good
kids.
for camouflage, I think.
So, so where are you? Okay, where are you? Are you officially on Vancouver Island?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm located just around Duncan, kind of just outside of Duncan.
Outside of Duncan. Okay. Okay. And when you're and what you're going to what island for the camp?
Oh, the camp's going to be in a place called Cherryville, which is by Vernon. So it's about a seven. We got a boat to catch, and then about seven, I don't know, 6 hour drive or so.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. All right. So that's right. Because you're on an island, you take the boat, and then wherever you gotta go. Okay. Wow. Man. So all right. Besides your camp, like, what do you for the folks who might not know, I should say, that are watching? Is he there or where did he go? Alrighty.
Well, that was great. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I know. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Can't be. He got on perfectly, so I don't know if he battery went dead or what's going on. But in the meantime, what can I? Well, who do we got coming up? What can we entertain the folks with until Darcy comes back?
We got Adam Siegmiller is ready to come on again. Randall Gregory, he's looking at coming in as well. Randall, besides being a dog brother, and he's got crazy stories. He was a chef, Marine, been deployed, and now he works at the VA. And I think he'd be a good person just to kind of like let people know,
Mm.
you know, how to
Yeah, we
how to
got
get help. Say again.
we got the female boxer. We got Lexi.
Nat-
So
Natasha, yeah.
we got like 4 or 5 people, and Brian Mars gonna be coming on. I just don't know if I should put my FMA discussion here, but one or the other.
It depends on how much you want him to like you afterwards.
That's true. That's true. Right. If I it says I'm in, but I'm not. Exit, and I'm just saying Darcy message and re-enter. My God. Yeah. So we definitely got folks lined up for sure. I'm gonna X him out and just have him try to come back in, and he's already done that. Okay, good. Hopefully, folks who should be coming back in. Hopefully, it was just a simple glitch. Yeah. So looks like we got
There's
enough.
there's a couple of prepper type people I've been talking to as well. 'Cause I find some of the stuff that they do pretty fascinating. Like some of these guys they're storing their food and fresh eggs like up to 6 months, years, and all that stuff. And I just find some of that stuff. Again, I'm not a prepper by any means. Like
Mm.
if I was, I wouldn't have been changing a starter for 5.5 hours out in the cold. Um, but I think there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and some of these guys train pretty heavily, not just in firearms, but in self defense as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of police officers I've been chatting with as well, just to kind of clear the air on legalities in Canada, because everybody seems to be kind of confused on what's actually legal, what isn't. And it'd be kind of cool if we can get a U.S. version of that as well, just to do a comparison. But
Yeah.
anyways, like I said before, Dean, I don't care what you said about Darcy. I think he's a good guy, and I hope he can jump. Oh, hey, there he is. All
Yeah,
right,
I mean, well,
perfect. Never mind.
I'm just my issues with him. What I mean is that I'm just making sure he's just going to rap. He's not going to go down rabbit holes
Listen,
or whatever he does, and
ever
just
ever since the rap band disbanded, you guys maybe need to have to chat about that.
oh my gosh, I know. Well, like on the ground, he's doing this little rap thing, and then when I saw that, me and him and Mark were taking a walk. I'm like, good heavens, what did I just do? I guess I'm like. No, but all seriousness, folks, we're just joking around. Darcy, for those who are watching, was recently just promoted to instructor in WPM. He's doing phenomenal. I say phenomenal, and I don't say that lightly. His movement is anybody that's part of WPM that's watching knows what I'm talking about. Darcy just has it. You know what I mean? Now I'm just going to give him a little more broken rhythm, and he's going to be, I guarantee you, unstoppable. Yeah. So, but I can't. It's endearing, Darcy. Like when I just look at it, I start cracking up. It's a good thing. Like I just start cracking up. Like I'll get a vision of you running around in the woods or something, and I just start cracking up. It's not a bad thing. It's
I can't wait until you guys come out for a visit. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
no. She wants to go. She in there, and yeah, I think I know the kids would enjoy. Roman will, what I mean. You and Roman can roam around the ground, and, but
Which is
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of weird because the last time I was in BC, I reached out and you were like, "Sorry, I'm out of the country."
must have been coincidence.
But he was FaceTiming, right? So I could see that he's just like sitting on a stump in the woods.
Sorry, Renee, I'm currently traveling.
Yeah,
I'm on an airplane. Sorry, brother.
he kept
So,
saying, "New phone, new cell phone. Who's this?"
yeah. So, but Darcy, before you got off, one of the things I was going to ask you was for those who might not know, like just your martial arts background, for those who might not know.
Okay. Um,
Oh, it's a little muffled again. Like,
yeah. I mean, it might be this device that I'm using. It's kind of an old one. I'll talk to you like I talk to my stepdad. With a big open mouth movement. Sorry. So yeah, I kind of got into kickboxing. It was being sold to me as Muay Thai. Of course, it wasn't. It was kickboxing, but I did that for a number of years, as well as some no-gi jiu-jitsu and some submission wrestling. I'd gotten into the MMA craze, and so I wanted to have what I thought would be a really good base of these things. And yeah, that was kind of kept me happy for a number of years, and then at some point got bored and didn't see anything really cool, anything really new. And then I met a guy at a boxing club who just ended up being an unbelievable instructor of everything forest and martial arts. And he took me on a really cool kind of risk to the Japanese martial arts through the lens of what's called Kizenden. And Tigran Den was a martial art created by John Wilson. I think it was put together, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s. And it's a combination of principles. There is no real technique in it, pardon me, but there's about 43 to 46 principles of movement. So the movements within it can be applied to just about any kind of sport. Like you could take these 46 and you could apply it to soccer, basketball, like that. As long as you have a clear understanding of body mechanics. And while I was training with Frank, he told me about something called Moy Baran, which I'd never heard of before. And so I looked into it, and immediately I was sold because I found that it was a really kind of congruent system for everything that I was doing with him. It was a really good mix in all the Japanese stuff that we were doing with sword and spear and bow and yeah, Frank took us right down the rabbit hole of all kinds of really cool Japanese ninja weapons and stuff. And I ended up going to Thailand and training with Master Kuro and Morbaran and Sabi Karbong.
Yeah, the sound isn't. They're saying they some can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm
What'd you do?
wondering.
What'd you do before?
Nothing.
You like were you in you were in the same location too, huh?
Yeah, same everything. Shit, guys, I'm not really sure what to say.
I
Yeah,
don't.
because it's in the same placement and everything. It could be just it's an older device.
Yeah, you were coming. Huh. I'm just trying to think. If there's anything I can suggest. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm seeing. I just looked at the video on the playback, and it definitely isn't very clear.
um, if what if you tried moving? I'm not saying that's gonna be the all cure all, but might
What
be
about if I hold it a bit closer? A
that may help. Let me see now.
bit more of a handsome look?
That goes without saying, right? How about now? Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Is that how's that sound?
Definitely better. Yeah, it's a little muffled, but I mean, you're still yeah. But I can hear you better. So
Okay, well, let me know, guys, if this is still pretty muffled. We'll try to figure something out here.
yeah,
Maybe
guys,
just
I'm able to hear him, but you guys, is it still tough to hear? Somebody will say something. And worse, we're gonna have to maybe just walk you around the room or something, find that magic spot.
yeah. You never know out here. We like my cell phone works in a spot about 4 by 6 inches in our tiny
So,
room, and it goes anywhere
I
from
mean,
there.
you leave that, it's like
Yeah, yeah, it's done. So I actually don't even put time on it half the time. It just sits there because it's useless. And then this, as far as like the digital stuff, like the Wi-Fi only works in a couple little spots here too. I mean, which is fine by us. We don't use it a ton, but for these moments, definitely.
nobody's saying anything. So, um,
Yeah,
sounds like Darcy's underwater. Yeah, that muffled.
yeah.
Um,
Shoot.
what if? What can I do to help you? Like in a tunnel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Before you were coming in like perfect, so it can't be. It's got to be just something simple. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I know. That's why. How's that?
Still the kind of the same muffled.
Yeah, weird, man.
What if you like? What if you back off it? I'm just trying to think of.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, it was working pretty good around this range.
What's going on? I tell you,
It's still pretty
still a bit.
interesting.
What if you hold it like that? Does it do anything? Let me just see if that does anything. I'm just trying to think of anything here.
How's that?
Still a little.
Yeah.
What if you? What if you hold it like this? What if you just plant it like right? Um,
I'm sorry, you guys, that this has been so tricky to get me out onto this digital platform.
now he is entered the frozen land, which always indicates, generally speaking, internet. What can I talk about before he comes on? Future guest, Ryan Marr, who is watching. We'll be getting him on. We got a female boxer coming on, which is kind of exciting. Looking forward to that. Hold on. Let me just see what he's saying here. Just a net here. One moment. Yep. It's, like I said, the internet. So he's going to get back in the meantime, yeah, so we got a couple of folks coming in. WPM seminar move. Yes, thank you, Brian. Yes, we're moving the WPM seminar to November. A couple people had some scheduling conflicts, and it just seemed we gave a little more time. It just made sense. I think that's already better, Darce. Hold on.
Yeah, how's that?
Um, we might have to roll with it. Go ahead. Let me just see. You know what? We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to go with it. Okay, you were talking about cheese and den and some in there as far as like what you start out in, I guess, right?
Yeah, so yeah, she's in then I was training with Frank Doss, who's under John Wilson. And from there got into Krabi Carbone and Morbaron under Master Kuo. Trained with him for about 3 months on two different trips, as well as did a lot of privates with him while I was there in Thailand. And yeah, no, that could really spark it for me looking at more like Asian art. I ended up going to the Philippines for a couple years in a row, training for a month each time with Pat, uh, primarily with Pat and a number of his kind of guys there. The first month, second month I was there, got introduced to Jared Wahungi and a number of other PCK guys at a camp that I went to. Got really into PCK, studied under Jason Jones a bit as well. Yeah, and then the last few years after that, it was a lot of dog brother centric stuff through Loki Jorgensen, Shuhan Loki of PTK Canada, and Philip Jelena, PTK Canada as well. And that kind of really was my bread and butter until last year when Mimi started working on the Medusa and the piping material.
What's
And
that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, how do you explain it? The mess of the two that can be so amazing. Yeah, like the the way that both of those knife systems have changed, even my stick fighting. I tell people all the time it's really worth looking into because there's certain details that are trained often, but not often given names, and not because they're not given names, they're not trained enough, and they're not looked at in further detail.
This is
Um,
interesting. Here, I want you to explain because as you know, being an instructor in WPM, one of the things we advocate that makes WPM unique is what can you take from WPM, the tactics that can complement and benefit your other arts. In my opinion, they're there. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? But you just mentioned that it's helped you. Like, what specifically from WPM has complemented or helped you in your other arts?
well, when I first started getting into fake. like what we call geographical fakes in Piper, so highs and lows and side to side. First kind of got into that a lot with kickboxing, real simple combo, jab, cross, hook, low kick, jab, cross, hook, high kick. And just kind of working those side to side and top and bottom techniques. And of course, in PTK, we've got a lot of drills like our fencing line, where we're going high, low, high, or high, low, low. And that really kind of helped to evolve that in me as well as in Dog Brothers material. But I found in PTK, because we have such a high emphasis on creating a disruption of understanding within our opponent through geographical and timing states, that I was able to start to really hone in on how I would use my spacing, even in stick fighting, starting to manipulate timing very slightly in order to get what I want. Something as simple as bastardizing the range between me and a person before they realize it while they're striking, and then utilizing that gap in their timing to get their arm or to move in for some sort of clinch work. I found like just that alone, the fake, the distraction, and the chaotic nature of Piper really helped to develop a lot of my stick fighting. Now, I started to notice it even more in the last 6 months when it came to my grappling. So whether it be my standing or my ground, starting to think more about creating that chaotic feeling in my opponent.
Mhm.
So normally in Tai Chi, we do things like we try to double root our opponent. So that is getting them to be 50-50. When a person's 50-50, it's harder for them to move around as if opposed to if they were 30-70 or 60-40. And so getting somebody into like a double root kind of scenario, and then using that to either get around them or bring them down front to back. A lot of that came from like how I was going to utilize that. It came from Piper, and that, like I said, that spacing of timing, that deception of movement. So like for my friends who are Tai Chi guys, making them think that I'm going this way because I'm pushing energy into a certain place, hitting a grain that they can then feel through their facet in my body, and then actually going the other way, or going highs and lows and mixing that up. So I found it really just that alone, that concept of creating chaos and confusion within my opponent, that heavy emphasis I found in Piper really bled into everything else, as well as the mind state, the forward mind state. Like one of the things you see in Krabi Karbong, compared to like let's say Filipino stick fighting, is there's a really heavy forward energy emphasis
Mhm.
uh, in Krabi. There's
Taking
a
up
lot
that
of
space.
yeah, we're taking up space, we're moving forward. There's a lot of, and that's the one thing about Piper as well, is that I'm looking to take up the space or I'm not. I'm not halfway in all the time. I'm
Or the
moving
outlight
in
zone,
or I'm
right?
moving way out. And I feel like just, yeah, that kind of, those two things alone, those concepts that we have in WPM have really changed my whole martial game in a lot of ways.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's yeah. Again, I think there's benefits. I mean, you just articulated some of them, but absolutely that can complement your other arts that you do, right? And um, yeah, well said. So what you're doing that? What do something I think you would like just based on your mindset and your openness. I think you enjoy KI. I think you would.
Yeah. I've done just a little bit, and the bit that I have done, I've really enjoyed. The that emphasis on range and timing, the difference between the way the weapon is used, like the binding nature of blade on blade and how that can change that very close range movement. Like I did a lot of Kiki Kiki Shin sword fighting, which is like a pirate samurai system. It's pretty awesome. They've got spear and shield, they've got bow staff, they got a lot of cool stuff, but their emphasis on the same size of blade except they're being two-handed and utilizing that angle and that range and timing constantly throughout everything was something that I saw a lot of in KI. And yeah,
You
really
would love the Dos Manos. The Dos, you know what I mean? Like you would, yeah. You should go doing this. I think you enjoy. I think you enjoy it. Just the efficiency and the thinness. I think you would enjoy getting back on center. The small circling. I think you would really. I think you would like it. I really do.
Well,
Uh,
even just that workshop that you did a few weeks ago on your blade tech with
it's
Richie
heavily
Lorenzo.
influenced by Ki.
That's right. And there was a lot of stuff that I took down in my notes from that that I've since utilized in a lot of ways. Like you said, getting back to recentering. So if I'm using that orbit, I'm using that redondo or we're calling it, it's like getting back to center, opposed to, throwing it way across my body and then relying on my power system to get that other hit to keep me safe. I could be taking that and making a smaller circle, which in turn still gives me a lot of power generation, but gets me back on point.
I can tell you why it be. If you look at Lameko, what is Lameko? When in the blunt weapon translation, the big circle caballero, the power rotation from PTK, but guess what for the recovery? The small circle from there. So I know you would really like it, and it sounds like you're already doing it. So yeah, um, yeah, I just yeah go there. I think you'll like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the November 2nd, is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
going to send a link to everybody but you, but yeah, but I want you to go to it. Okay.
What happened to Renee? Where'd he go?
I don't know. I mean, he was seemed like he was like on his way home, so I don't know if he hit a bad cell zone or which could have been the case. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing a bad cell zone if I had to guess. Um, yeah, but so what? So what are your future like? What's the future hold for you? Like, what are your future goals? Like, what do you want to achieve, martially speaking?
I'm pretty simple, I'm a pretty simple man. Um,
I'm a simple man.
I'm a simple man. My goals aren't lofty. Um, I just want to make really good-hearted people as absolutely dangerous as possible in a way that doesn't corrupt their mind. Um,
That's the thing, huh? Like achieving, trying to get out that almost physical capability, but without compromising them mentally.
it's tricky, like my teacher Frank. I think I might have mentioned this before. He was a big advocate of balance. Everything's about Kazushi with him, and so if you're training martially to disrupt someone's life functions over and over and over again, you should also be training something that's beautiful. You should be training something that is skillfully useful in your day to day. Something that's creative, preferably. So, music, for instance, learning to play an instrument. For me, when I first started training with him, he made me a flute, shakuhachi, which is about a foot and a half long, made out of bamboo. And so I played that every day while we were training together. And just that alone, it keeps my mind centered on other things aside from just like, how can I destroy this
Especially
person?
with Blade, with WPM and Medusa, like you can't that I mean that's it's not healthy. Like if you're just kind of like point driven, like I'm thinking like that, like and I learned to, you know, something Lloyd always emphasized with me, like, and that was before I even did Medusa and everything, but it's so true. Like you have to and also instill that in your students regardless of what level, at least have the conversation because it's some serious stuff, and like you said, bouncing out or other stuff, you know what I mean. And I know you're focusing on you want to make competent, physically competent martial artists, but at the same time I always strive to my students, that aspect of compassion and empathy and like that to me, like those that's important. You know what I mean? Like that's what sets it from like cult mentality and just like evil. You know what I mean? Like, like I don't like if you notice in WPM, We don't have anybody in there like that, and it's like it's not. It's with purpose. You know what I mean? Like you know, like you and I think you have that. Like you have empathy and compassion. You know what I mean? Like it's important.
No, I totally concur, and I think we've done a really great job with our group on creating that type of
Oh,
culture in
thank you.
CCM. You know, it shows because you know like you mentioned, what we're training on is the ambush system. You could totally go insane if you're always looking for ways to capitalize on another human being's life force. You eventually lose your mind if that's all you're thinking about.
Can you imagine
And
that? Like wake up in the morning, like all right, if he comes out of the alley, I hit him in the number five, pass his neck by, and then I mean that's
buying groceries, going to the store, buy groceries, taking your kids to the
oh
school.
Lord. Drums, swinging sticks is down. Yeah, like Brent says, drum and swinging sticks. Yeah, you gotta have something, right? Like I'm a
Oh,
like I'm a chess nerd. I play chess at night. Um, I try to be yeah, like there, but that just whatever it is that find that balancing, right? You know what I mean? Yeah.
and that's so it. There's so many different variations. I mean, it could be all kinds of stuff. Like there's like this whole world is full of so much amazing shit. Like there's tons of it. It's unreal. And if it's something you can do with your hands, in your mind in combination with people you enjoy, whatever that thing is, you'll just have a better life. I mean, we all have to die no matter what we do, no matter if we're good or bad, how much money we make. And I figure leading up to that infinite point that's going to happen no matter what, if we can have a good time and leave this place in some capacity better than we originally left, then we'll die really well. And, it's all very plausible on how we live. If you're living in a shitty way, there's a good chance that your death will not be a good one. I keep that in mind, and I tell my students to study philosophy. Like if you're a student of mine who's learning my ninth field program, which we talked about in a previous podcast, it's expansive. We're looking at this whole element around wilderness survival and then applying those same technologies in an urban environment as principles. And then also looking at our security package, which is utilizing weapons and body mechanics for again keeping ourselves alive. But there's a heavy philosophy component there. I get my students to look at things like Seneca. I get them to look at things like Alan Watts so that they can get an idea to think outside the box, which I find has helped me martially, helped me my survivability times 10, just opening that space. And I think it's important. I think it's really important because otherwise, if I'm just simply showing somebody stab, grab, stab, grab, stab over and over again, then what am I recreating? I'm not showing the world with the kinds of human beings that I want my grandchildren to run
Yeah,
into.
our good energy, right? I mean, just you know. Um, no, it's true. This is why, yeah, especially with knife and like and looking at these prison systems, there's you gotta, man, you gotta like while the content is serious, I try in the group to keep it the subject matter being serious, but at the same time, like I put that, the emphasis on like, hey, take what you can to benefit the other arts, knowing where they don't get stuck like, well, no, Piper's the only thing. No, it's not. It's far from it. Don't get emotionally attached to these systems. I tell them, you know what I mean? Like they are what they are. Benefit from it. Understand, God forbid, not letting people get close to you or how you would manage that. Creating good habits, not letting people whatever you can take, but don't, getting emotional that these are the one and only system and the best in the world. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that I think you've done a great job at that as well as like showing people the overlap between the different systems. Whether it is we're looking at Burton Selat or looking at some of the takedowns in in the Blade Tech, or looking at like some of the lines of the path. We're setting up lines of the path with our KI and blade tactics. There's just so much overlap.
Yeah, which was there. Is it getting is it getting cold out there?
It's beginning to, yeah, we're starting to drop quick here. It's we didn't really get much of the fall season. It's just kind of going right into winter.
Like, what's your temp right now?
Let me look it up. Yes, it's about okay, Celsius. It's about 10 Celsius with a wind chill. So, yeah, I think like +4 or something. Fahrenheit, that's about 53.
Oh, okay, all right. That's kind of what we're dipping down to. We're starting to hit the 50s, high 40s at night. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll come down quite a bit. Like the sun's still out right now, but in the next 2 hours it'll drop significantly. Yeah, it'll come down to like kind of around 30 or so.
Yeah, that's pretty wow. You guys are wow. Okay. Yeah, we haven't hit that yet. Um, yeah, I'm not looking for him.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Yeah, it's like you were talking earlier about, yeah, just having like bodies well used from years of martial arts and the temperatures change. I start to feel different broken things, and yeah, the healing I find takes a little bit longer at this age.
Just everything. Like you got to prepare for it. I mean, everything is more time added when the winter comes to go train. You know what I mean? It's just it's just more clothing if you're going outside, or you got just everything. Um, so if there like what other arts would you like if you assume like you had the time, the resources, et cetera, et cetera? What other arts would you like to dive in or experience or maybe dive in deeper?
I like weapon art, as you know. I
Same here.
like I I do like empty hand stuff. I try to get my butt to BJJ from time to time. Sometimes more regular than others. I definitely would like to do a lot more of the Zulu art of the shield and
You would
club.
do well at it. It's not much to it. You
No, I mean, this is theoretical, and if everything was friggin' perfect, I would love to go to the homeland of it. I would like to go there and spend a couple weeks with a tribe, if not longer, eat what they eat, hunt what they hunt, and fight when they fight, and train every day. That would be, if I had an ideal situation, if there's a donor out there that wants to hire a security team for a white person to be in South Africa right now and send me there, I would gladly go. Just saying.
yeah, you could. No, if you could, yeah, that would be. If you ever, I mean, who would be the one to talk to, and that would be Burton. Burton still talks to some folks over there, so he would be a good resource if you did go where you would, just and then after that, you certainly want to, go to Cape Town Flats and just walk around. I mean, like for a
I wear
field.
my WTM shirt. Somebody fucks with me.
Oh my god! Yeah, definitely do. Oh my god! Oh boy! Yeah, that would be. But so you got okay. So you got the Zulu. Try to get more BJJ in there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, there's always stuff that I see I want to do more. I'd love to do more KI. I haven't even seen Loki as much this last year. I'd love to be training more with him. His version of P2K is really fightable. I've seen him fight at two gatherings, and I've seen him fight guys half his age and not turn down any fight. And I've seen him able to utilize a lot of the movements in PTK that are seldom used outside of a drill. and I've seen them make them very fightable and very dangerous. Um, yeah, that's something that I would love to be able to train with him a lot more, as well as my teacher Frank Goss. I would love to be able to train with him more often. He came down a couple weeks ago and graded me fourth down in Fusen Dan. So that's yeah, it was really good because it was a big step for me, being that Fusen Dan doesn't get utilized that much here on the West Coast, but you don't have a very big group here. So it's nice to be able to start to develop it now with more and more people. There's more interest from a lot of the guys I train in to develop that internal understanding of martial arts, as well as develop a better understanding of Fujitsu. Because that idea of balance, having a balance taking, is highly refined within Fusion Den. Um, and that's something, yeah, I'd like to do more with him. Like when he was here last, we focused a lot on some really nasty geo throws and setting them up with weapons, like the Hanbo, which is like a 3.5 foot long stick, supposed to represent half of the bow that broke it in battle. It has a whole system around it as far as locks and strikes and throws. Um, yeah, I'd love to be doing more. I mean, there's tons. There's so many amazing,
That's the problem.
instructors out there.
Just so much. Like I would, if I had the time, um, I would like, I always will stay with KI, just refinement, and they're like always, that's kind of like my one refinement art. Like I'm just going to keep, but I would like to some of the Latin arts. I would like really to check out like some of them. You know what I mean? Like that were half and indigenous, like Indians, but yet they had the Spanish influence. Like Eskrima Criolla, I am so fascinated. The whole cloak and dagger. I just find that that would be the one. If, yeah, but like you said though, it's like a balancing act. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know,
it's pretty wild. I've got so much respect for folks that can really break it down so that when they're sparring, they're only using like a compartmentalized one art. That I used to have a training buddy like that, and we could be doing kickboxing 1 minute, and then he would change it up, and all he'd be using is some kind of kung fu, and then he could go back to just kickboxing. He would keep it really segregated. It was wild.
the whole thing that is like one of the things I've been thinking about. I'm always reluctant to go down this rabbit hole. And okay, so we obviously got the shield hand and Piper. But the moment I put something around that, it's still a shield hand with a cloth on it. So I'm just trying like for realistic, not this would be for myself, not putting in Piper. I don't want to put something in there that wasn't in there that Lloyd did. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind complimenting things Lloyd gave me, going deeper into Lloyd, but not putting in something he didn't. But for I'm thinking like taking that method from a Piper. In other words, they're kind of going here, they're hiding it behind here, so you can't see the depth of where it's coming, which I think is great. But I think there's still something with that whole towel. You know what I mean? You know?
Oh, totally, totally. I mean, you see it once in a while in prison fights, where they've got a towel either wrapped around as a
Yeah,
defensive measure,
yeah.
or they have it loose in one hand and they're using it to create chaos to hide their blade.
There's got to be something there. What was you see early Europeans, they had that whole cloak. I mean, I'm not saying that's what influenced the art there that I'm referencing. I mean, who knows? Maybe the people there also had it, but but that would be fascinating if with the time to do. But just some of those Latin arts, you know what I mean, that are would be interesting. But again, it's time. You know what I mean, and then you have to go travel and hey, I'm going to go away to go do this.
That's right. And there's the whole thing of leaving wherever you are. It's like you said, it's like now we're going on this pilgrimage to this place. I mean, speaking of pilgrimages, actually, there's one I want to go on, and it's I want to do the walk.
from the Santi, the Saint, I totally gapped it now. It's the Pilgrims of Saint James. It ends up in Spain. Um, the Santiago.
In Spain. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, some in the comments might know what I'm talking about. My wife went on it years ago, and it's about 900 kilometers or so. But it's got churches all along the way that have been there for over 1,000 years, and it goes all throughout the highlands, through the landscape, and there's even uh, um, there's even a fountain that has wine coming out of it halfway through. Kind of wild.
Here it's beautiful over there. Like different landscapes in Spain, and you'll get You know, I hear it's. Yeah. Not only that. What about this Dresden? That whole system, the Spanish.
Yeah,
You know, that
there,
would be worth. You
there's some
know.
good stuff there. There's
Uh,
some real, I mean, I honestly, I see stuff all the time where, like, there'll be at least a detail in which I'm like, wow, like, whatever that is, even if I don't like the whole thing, there's at least something there that I'm like, that's awesome. And I can see how I can apply it to whatever else I'm doing.
the whole circle is the whole circle of this. You know what I mean? Like there, like I find that fascinating in that system. Like you even
Yeah,
going to lead. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You see fencing, like in Italian fencing, they've got those four positions.
Yeah.
One, two, three, and four. And just the way that starts to cut those angles for their thrust. I did a bunch of Italian fencing at one point up island with a guy, and it was super
They
fun.
say Italian fencing is supposed to be it's Spanish, Italian. You got. I
Oh,
mean, the whole thing is there's got to be something to the Spanish methodology. Yes, I mean I know they recruited all that, but when they were taking over those countries, I mean you can't say like they didn't have a good fighting force or I mean come on now, you know what I mean, like there had to be something there, you know what I mean, like you know.
oh, I mean, they weren't, the thing that people forget is that they were up against really, really high level martial artists, like warriors. They weren't just taking over towns for fishermen and stuff. Like, the Spaniards fought against the samurai at one point, and they destroyed them. They were fighting against the Filipinos. They were fighting against the indigenous people of a number of places here in Canada. Like, there was a lot of really
Oh
powerful
yeah,
wars at the
also
time.
the indigenous people of what now is Central and South America, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, the Aztec warriors were no joke.
we tried amazing people in Spain. Renee, so Renee wants to know Italian fencing is great. Have you tried the Portuguese driveways? He would like he would like to know that.
Oh man. See, okay, like I wish that both of you guys lived closer. We're talking about martial arts, so you want to train. I just want to train with you two guys more often. I think the three of us would have a whole lot of fun. Tell some bad jokes in between, and it'd be good for our cardio, laughing and stabbing and smashing and headbutting.
Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking, like, if you guys want to do another camp next year, um, just to get everybody together, that would be a value right there, right? I mean, you know what I mean. But you
Yeah,
guys,
I think it's a
but
great
you,
idea.
but you guys can teach. I would just like to go just to hang around. You know.
Well, honestly, I think it would be really great to run it very similar that we just did. Getting everybody to put in their bit, as well as have a bigger sharing of information from Mark. I can only imagine what he's going to have to share by next year. He's just getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, but plus you know, like next year, if you think about it, we would have reform rolled out by then. The the pre-ambush stuff would be fully rolled out by then. So that could be the highlights from maybe like next year. I mean, there could be WPM stuff in there, but it could be significantly complemented by introducing reform and you know what I mean.
Well, and it'd be great, by then too, like maybe we could do some of the knit work with
Or the,
Mark.
and the mid and the mid work as well, right?
Yeah, because that's great stuff. That's just learning how to utilize that skill of mitt work with knife work. I mean, the first time I ever did any mitt work was with Frank, like with knife, was with Frank years ago. And if you go far enough back in my Instagram, you'll see it. It's just a black and white video, and he's throwing the pads out there, very kind of just ones and twos like, and every once in a while there'd be high lines and low lines, and I've got the choice to either strike the pads or block and deflect the pad that's coming at me. And then on call, he would say draw. I would clear the garment, draw the knife, attack the pad, put it back, and go back to the drill.
Friendly, yeah. No, that's
And
oh,
it's simple, but I mean,
that would be so
sorry?
easy to do in Piper. You know what I mean? I mean, I could go here to there, like here, boom, boom, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a simple drill, but I found it really helped me a lot to develop a number of different attributes. And I can see by the way Mark's setting up this Piper pad work, I can see it can be really useful long term.
No, there's yeah, it might be it might be worth doing one next year. Just the rollout of the different programs. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, but I insist you guys teaching as well. Like you're not going to, that would be that's the only thing I would insist on that you guys, you'd be teaching as well. And we just gotta find a place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be really cool if we could do something uh outside. I know that we'd have to make sure accommodations were good for everybody. But it's interesting, like just some of the other elements that come up when we train outside in the different grounds with our shoes on, with our clothes that we used to wear, and like getting used to garment clearing with your hoodie on or garment clearing with your jacket on. Good practice.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, if it was outside, I wouldn't care. I mean, you figure we're gonna be if we did around the same time of the year. It's not like it's freezing out at that time. You know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, we easily do that. Yeah, if you guys concentrate on WPM, me and you would roll out the reform. Mark would do the mitts, and then me and you can even like show some Zulu to them. The
Oh
only thing is, though, they would have to get a bunch of defending sticks. Not that that's hard. I mean, that's the only issue with the Zulu. It's great and all that, but for the mass, like if you wanted to teach us the mass,
yeah. Mhm.
it's the equipment. That's where it gets into the issues, right? Because you got the defending stick, you got to have the small shield. You know what I mean? And some type of where you have an actual ball at the end. You know what I mean? That's the issue for the mass. Getting everybody synced up, having all that. You know what I mean? But still,
Yeah,
the demo could just be done. You know what I mean?
yeah. I'm thinking about different ways to make that gear a little bit easier. Not just to produce, but also to pack and to move. Because it's one of those like the stick fighting with the shield. Like we stick fight with like buckler from time to time, and the Malsa or the Champa, things like that. But it would be really cool, yeah, to add in the other shield to our game that we're playing already. And I find that a lot of these like camps that I teach at, because there's such an emphasis on um, things utilized by indigenous cultures around the world,
Mm-hmm.
adding in that shield and some of those movements, those African movements, I think a lot of people would love.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with a workshop at night where you are taught how to make your gear in the next days. That's an idea. You got to make your Zulu gear the night before. If you don't have a shield.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's totally it. You'll have guys out at like 2 in the morning just struggling to create that shield, while some other dude who made it just sleeping like a baby.
Yeah, I mean, like having it right underneath so it doesn't get stolen.
Yeah, that could be the next level is we could do raids. You could have like night raids in which like yeah, your gear gets stolen by the other team.
Yeah, that would be.
I find like that to a point that making a simple wooden knife, something that mimics in some way what you pack around, is one of the key elements to my classes that I teach at these camps that we're talking about.
So they get to see it and get a visualization on what they need to kind of make.
Yeah. Well, they get like, I mean, first off, they get used to using a knife. Like I see most knives nowadays don't get utilized. It seems like they sit in a shelf in someone's office. Which is
I got
fine.
I got a bunch that are sitting on a shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens, especially if you have many of them. Whereas like the more you use this thing in different ways against different material, the more and more you get to know how it works, which then informs how you use it in your training, which is something I really like. So with new students, I get them to make one of these knives out of their real knife, and it teaches them how to shape something made out of wood. And it
Yeah.
gives you an idea of like where is the strong point and the weak point in the blade. I mean, that's something I got from Italian fencing that has changed, yeah, my stick fighting, everything. And in fact, in TriCom, they mentioned something about that 0 point distance. So it's like my blade here, halfway from my blade back to my hand is the strongest point of my blade. Halfway out is the weakest point of my blade. The farther out I go, the weaker it gets. The farther back I go, the stronger it gets. So if I'm getting used to shaping something with my blade, I don't want to necessarily do it out here in the weaker part. I want to get up here where it's strong. And
Mm.
that goes as far as like cutting anything. If I get into a situation in which I'm using my blade like a stop cut, if I stop cut on somebody's arm, utilizing this weak part of my edge, not only is it maybe pop over the top of it, but I'm not going to have the same driving force as if I go straight towards the strong arm and drive through it. It's going to give me a lot more cutting and torque. And it's the same thing with our stick fighting. And I find it's the same thing with, yeah, pretty much anything. My arm outreach. It's weak from here out, it's strong from here in. And so if I'm grappling with somebody, understanding that it's going to take less energy for me to create a torque on a wrist or a finger than it will be for me to torque a shoulder, but I'm going to be able to get a hold of this meat easier than this meat when the shit hits the fan man.
No, no, no. That's. I'm gonna go out tomorrow and I'm gonna make a knife.
It's good practice, man. It's good practice. I don't know. I've probably made like, I don't know, 100 of these things over the years. So often I'll give them away or I'll lose them or I break them. This one I think I've had the longest. You can see it's starting to get like a patina on it. It's just been stabbing things for so long.
That's awesome, awesome, awesome. So when are you leaving for camp?
Looks like we're probably going to be leaving midday tomorrow. We got to fill up the car. We got a bit of work to do in the morning, and we got to fill up the car with all of our gear. We're actually going to sleep in the car just because it'll help with the temperatures where we're going. It's going to be -0, so keep us off the ground. We can make it super cozy with some animal skins and wool. And yeah, just get everything together as far as like firearms. Can bring yeah, stuff for small game and big game, as well as going to be sharing some understanding around shooting bows and arrows. So I'll bring one of my bows and arrows so I can actually train that a bit with the youth. Um, yeah, and I won't need a lot of gear. I think for what I'm teaching, I'll bring some cordage, safety throw some skins on the wrap. That's usually cheap. I can just pick that up from the dollar store. Bring a couple knives for making things while I'm out there. Sandpaper, saw, hatchet, and yeah, then we're good to go.
Wow, 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 wow. And then, jeez. So, wow, that's awesome. So, and you're gone till when?
It looks like we'll probably be gone till mid next week. The camp is only 3 days long, but we're gonna take a full day to get there, and then kind of take our time get back. Like there's gonna be a hot springs along our route back, so we'll stop at the hot springs, hang out, and there's a couple spots I want to hunt for wild turkey different things we're going to keep our eyes open for as foraging goes. Like there's the balsam root, which is a type of flower that we're going to look at foraging a number of for ourselves as well as some friends here on the island. And then just keeping our eyes open for stuff that, again, like I said, it's just not in our bioregion as much.
Mm.
With that said, I'm going to bring some stuff from this bioregion to trade with people at the trade blanket. Things like reishi mushroom, which we have just an absolute abundance of out here, but in Syria there's just less of it.
Wow, that's good. So when you get back, you gotta let me know because then we'll jump on reform. Um, code word reform.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Renee's asking, how do you choose who the big spoon is when you're sleeping close quarters in a vehicle?
Yes, I know. So that was just about the so however you guys manage that.
Well, it's me and my wife, and she's tiny, so she's a little spoon most of the time. But it all depends who you're snuggling with, I guess, right?
I think so. It's a very open end. Yes, the possibilities.
That's right. when I was a kid in Boy Scouts, we there was a couple tents of us that had our tents still full of water in the middle of the night. Well, we were on a mountain that was frozen, and so the four of us were freezing in sub below temperatures, and so four of us had to spoon in freezing cold weather to stay up, well, to stay alive until the morning when we could make a fire. Being that our scoutmaster didn't want to be awake and didn't want us making a fire on our own. So
Jeez.
yeah, so we just spooned.
You guys were spooning.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, hey, I gotta go get the boy. But hey, well, hey, I hope you have a great trip. Um, when you get back, yeah, touch base with me and let me know what works. And yeah, we'll meet online, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds great. Yeah, let's take a look at it. I think we can honestly, I think we can crank out some really good material around that stuff.
yeah, without going down a rat, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, man, I'm certain of it. Yeah. It could be off distractions. It could be off. Yeah, like I got one. It could be off tactile. It could be off visual, auditory, off frames. Not off frame. So without the distractions, off big orbits and frames. Because one of the things Lloyd gave me that he didn't put in the curriculum was that whole there. You know what I mean? Well, there's your star. You know what I mean? So I already, yeah, I got so many ideas. I think it'll be great. Yeah. So, awesome. Well, hey, have a great trip. And, yeah, we'll talk when you get back.
Yeah, no, I much appreciate it, Dean. Thanks for having me on, and thanks everybody for listening. Sorry I sound like I'm underwater. Hopefully next time I'll have some gear that actually works.
Yeah. You know what though? People stuck around, so it could have been that bad. So awesome. All right. Well, hey, take care and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
All right. And that wraps up 26. So who's next? I'm not sure who will be, but I can tell you it will be um, Lexi, a girl who teaches. I'm not sure the female boxer, Adam, but yeah, there's a few. This Friday, though, we'll be doing FMA discussion, episode 521. I forget, but at any rate, it's going to be Sean Sutton. He's also a rep under Burton, and we're going to be talking about Burton's programs, and that's going to be either 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. But you'll see, like always, posted in FMA discussion. But yeah, check that out. You'll get a good idea, like what Burton offers if you don't know already, and how his programs are set up, and just how many he's got. I mean, I hate to use a cliche one-stop shop because it means it's kind of cheesy, which in Bird's case it's not. But really, Guy is, trained a lot of different systems and offers. I mean, everything like Zulu, if you want to go way out, Zulu, but all the way to BJJ MMA, obviously FMA, the C lot, JKD, Wing Chun, right? So pretty a big list of offerings that you can choose from depending what your interest is. So yeah, so check that out this Friday. Again, it's gonna be 3 or 4 Eastern time, and I'll be with Sean Sutton. So until then, have a good rest of the night, and hopefully I'll see some of you Friday.